Welcome back, student, to our second video on the synopsis of She Stoops to Conquer. This is, let's say, a brief summary of the whole play, and then after I finish with the summary, I will go over each act, Act 1 and 2 and 3, and so on, and I will explain also the scenes as well. So, in the synopsis, we have Sir Charles Marlowe, who's an old friend to Mr. Hardcastle. And Sir Charles Marlowe has a young son. His name is Young Marlowe. And Mr. Hardcastle has a young daughter, and her name is Kate. And Kate lives with Mrs. Hardcastle, and Mrs. Hardcastle is called Dorothy. Okay, so Kate lives with Dorothy, and she lives with Tony Limpkin, Dorothy's son from her former marriage. Okay, so both of Charles Marlowe and Mr. Hardcastle, they believe both of Marlowe, the young Marlowe, and Kate are a perfect match, and they should have just get married. Okay, so accordingly, Marlowe travels from his own city to meet Kate, but he did not travel alone. Rather, he accompanied by George Hastings, his best friend. Okay, and we see that George Hastings, his friend, is in love with the Kate's cousin, and her name is Constance Neville. Okay, so as I already introduced Constance Neville to you in the beginning, with the characters list, Constance Neville, she's an orphan, and she lives with the Hardcastles, and she has a fortune. Okay, so Mrs. Hardcastle wanted to control Constance Neville's fortune, and she wants her to marry her son Tony. Okay, but both of Tony and Constance Neville do not love each another. Okay, so this is one of the reasons why George Hastings is coming to visit Constance Neville, because they both of them love each another, and both of them, they decided to run away and travel to different, let's say, continents, and then marry. Okay, so this is his main intention, Hastings' intention. Okay. Okay, so both of Marlowe and Hastings, on their way to go to Mr. Hardcastle house, so they lost their way. Okay, the true travelers, Marlowe and Hastings, lost their way and lost the direction of their way of Mr. Hardcastle house. So they seek direction. So they seek direction through a nosy tavern. So they saw an inn on their way, and the inn is called the Three Pigeons. Okay, so they went inside the inn, and Tony Lemkin was there inside the inn. And as I've already informed you that Mr. Hardcastle was expecting Marlowe to come, and even the whole family. So Tony also expected two people will come to his house because he lives in Mr. Hardcastle's house. So when they come inside the inn, he realized that, both of them are Marlowe and Hastings. Okay, so what he did, he misdirects them to the house. Okay, and he pretend that this house is an inn, and it is called the Buck's Head. Okay, students, it's very important to realize that the Mr. Hardcastle house, from the front look, or let's say from the front side, it looks truly like an inn. That's why Marlowe and Hastings couldn't realize that this is a house, not an inn. Okay, so much of the humor of the play consists of the traumas that arise from this mistaken identity. Okay, so this is the mistake that happened at the beginning of the play. So when the two men arrive at the Mr. Hardcastle's house, they truly behave as if they were truly in an inn. Okay, and we can see that Marlowe keeps interrupting Mr. Hardcastle, and it seems like Marlowe does not truly have that kind of modesty that Mr. Hardcastle already knew about him. Okay, so on meeting Kate for the first time, Marlowe reveals himself to be extremely bashful. So Marlowe is very shy, okay, but he's shy in the presence of a young woman of his own class. Okay, he's only shy with women from the same class, but he's very bold, okay, and very rude, let's say, in meeting women of a lower social standing. Okay, so you see the difference, students. There is a class distinction here. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so in order to woo the young man, okay, in order to run or after or ask or let's say grab this young man who Kate feels is a promising material, she pretends to be a barmaid at the inn. Okay, so she's disguised with the dress of a barmaid. On the other hand, we have Constance, okay, and we have Hastings. Okay, so both of Constance and Hastings met each another, and Constance told Hastings that Marlowe made a mistake. This is not an inn. This is Mr. Hardcastle house. Hastings, his main goal is to run away with Constance, okay? He doesn't truly care about her fortune, okay? So he told her we should not tell Marlowe the truth, because if we tell him the truth, he would have left the house before we can run away. Okay, so Hastings didn't tell his friend Marlowe that this was truly Mr. Hardcastle house. Okay, so Marlowe kept on thinking that this is an inn. Okay, we have on the other hand Tony, and we have Mrs. Hardcastle. Okay, so we have Tony and we have Mrs. Hardcastle. Tony felt truly happy because he didn't really love Constance and he doesn't want to marry her. So Tony offered help to Hastings, okay, and he told him that I will guide you and help you to loop, or let's say to run away with Constance Neville. Okay, so Marlowe was in love with Kate, but as I've already explained that he's different, like his characteristics is different with women from high class and low class. We have here Marlowe. Okay, so as I've already told you that Tony decided to help Hastings and to help Constance to run away because he didn't truly love Constance and he doesn't want to marry her. So what happened is that Tony, steal the Constance fortune or jewelry from his mom, okay, his mother, Mrs. Hardcastle, and he took the jewelry and gave them to Marlowe. Okay, and then Marlowe believed, okay, that Mrs. Hardcastle is a landlady of the inn, and that's why he gave her the jewels, okay, to keep them. So do you see, student, how many mistakes do we have? Like, the each one of them is considering everything in a different way. We have Hastings and we have Constance, and we have Tony who played with them, and we have Mrs. Hardcastle and how Tony manipulate her, and we have Marlowe and how Marlowe mistaking Mrs. Hardcastle, and so on and so forth. Okay, so Constance and Hastings heard that Marlowe's father is gonna come, okay, to Mr. Hardcastle. So they were truly afraid that their elopement, or let's say their runaway, will not be successful. So they decided to run away and keep their fortune behind. Okay, they didn't care about the jewelry or anything about the fortune that she has. So they left everything and then just run away. Then we can see that since they decided to run away, Oliver Goldsmith added more complications for them. Okay, let's see that the and Constance and Hastings suffer from a number of difficulties. Since they prepare to elope, the chief of which difficulty they face is first is Constance's fortune. Okay, they could not, as I already told you, they could not take the fortune. This is one. Another thing is that Mrs. Hardcastle manages to intercept a note from Hastings. Hastings wrote a note to Lumpkin telling him to prepare some arrangement for both of Constance and Hastings to run away. Okay, so Mrs. Hardcastle found this note, and then she discovered that Constance Neville is going to run away. So she prepares to take Constance to the house of her aunt. Okay, she wants to keep her secure because for one reason, which is Mrs. Hardcastle wants her to marry her son Tony so that she can control her jewelry and her fortune. Okay, so several hours journey away, this is the place where Aunt Bedgree is there. Okay, where it will be very impossible for Hastings to see her. Okay, so Mrs. Hardcastle told Tony to ride, beside the carriage, and direct the driver to the Aunt Bedgree house. Okay, so what Tony did, he's cunning and he's a very trickery person. What he did is he takes the occupants of the coach on a circular route, which means he started to move in a circular way, so which means that they will come back to the same place that they move from. Okay, so do you see the mistakes, the things that's happening here, student? Okay, so there are so many details in here that I cannot all of them mention. This is a summary, and I will just go through details when I explain act by act. Okay, so Marlowe learns of his mistake. Later, by the end of the play, Marlowe knew that he was mistaken, and especially in taking the house for an inn, and he was watched, by a hidden Hardcastle and his father, Sir Charles, and then after that he proposed to Kate, do you see these things, students, the mistaken things, or let's say mistaking identity? So after that, since they were hidden, Mr. Hardcastle and Sir Charles, they were hidden in some place and watch how Marlowe acts with Kate. So the two fathers appear from their hiding place, and the many problems of identity are solved. So this is the end of the play. So by the end of the play, both of Hastings and Constance came back, and the pair have decided to get married with the Hardcastle's blessing because they want to obtain their rightful fortune. and they cannot do that unless they get their approval. Okay, Tony Lumpkin renounces any claim to Constance, like he rejected the Constance. He said that I don't want to marry her. Okay, and the audience is left with the prospect of the two couples happily looking forward to their respective marriages. Do you see that? Like by the end of the play, there is a happy, there is a what? A happy ending. Okay, and we can say that the mistakes of a night are happily over. I hope this is a clear, students. For the next lecture, I will go through Act 1 and then give you a summary and analysis, and then I will go with Act 2 and so forth. I hope this is a clear, student. Thank you for listening.